Hello everyone, welcome to Ekamiasacademy. My name is Vijay Kumar. So for you guys, we are going to come up with a new series along on the platform of Ekam IAS Academy. That is answer writing series, which would be dealt by me, where answer writing is the key essential component to crack UPSC mains, because it shall be the final product on which your merit would be decided. So that's why we thought that we would encourage the students in answer writing courses so that they will have the habit and have a regular practice of answer writing on a daily basis. So every day you would be given up with questions and you would be suggested on how to write those particular answers. As this is lecture number 1, we are just going to see how we are going to construct the structure of an answer. And what are the important aspects which we have to generally mention in that particular structure. That is what we are going to see in this particular lecture number 1. So before I move into explaining regarding with the structure of answer, you have to do certain things before you start any answer writing. Many aspirants generally what they would be doing is initially on the day 1 of their particular preparation, they start writing an answer. But is it true that they would be having enough content to construct an answer at least at 200 words? No. So this is not right that you start writing the answer on the very first day. And many successful candidates in UPSC, they just say that I have started answer writing from day 1. It's just a marketing strategy, nothing else over there. So that particular institute might have said to that aspirants by giving money, to say these particular statements, and these statements were said by those aspirants and they are bluffed statements. They might have already prepared, and exactly from the day when they have started preparing certain notes, they might have started their particular answer writing. But in actual sense, for any answer writing to be happened or at least an output to come, there are certain requisites which you have to follow. Requisite number 1 is classroom lectures. Generally, people take coaching, and through coaching they attend the classes and they clarify their particular doubts and they get some conceptual clarity. And once they get the conceptual clarity, then they would be having the base of answer writing to be created. So certain aspirants, they generally go for self-reading, not taking the coaching, just they take the guidance or mentorship, and on that particular basis they can also start answer writing. But in the initial stages, on the day 1, when you either go for a classroom lecture or when you start your self-reading, it is not the time when you have to start the answer. Let's say on that particular day, you have learnt one particular topic called as cyclone in the class. So you have understood certain portions of cyclone very effectively. So what you have to do is, once you go home, you have to revise from the class notes first, and you have to revise from the reference material or the reference book which the faculty has given. So once you go across this particular class notes by revising the things and read the reference material or reference book, you will be having some content to construct an answer. And this is also not the great zone where you can start the answer writing. Once you are done with revision, generally I suggest aspirants to go for 3 revisions. Revision number 1 on the same day, revision number 2 at the weekend, revision number 3 at the month end. So what I suggest aspirant is, don't make notes, your personal notes, on the very first revision whichever you are doing. You wait for some time, and once you are done with second reading or second revision, then only start making notes. Because what aspirants generally do is, I have observed many aspirants doing this. They just copyright the things which are there in that particular reference material into a white copy. That is not the notes which you have to follow. Notes is certain thing which is very precise in nature. By seeing that particular note, you shall be in a position of having the guts to construct an answer by using certain phrases into it. So note making should be done only after your second reading. Then only the note making would be very effective. And many people start writing all the content which is there in the reference material directly, they will cut copy paste. That is also not true. Let's say for example you have read cyclone as a topic. So in one A4 sheet, front and back, the entire cyclone notes have to be done. So generally in the note making you have to use keywords, you have to use some diagrammatical representations, stats, and you have to use the definition lines. These are the things which generally notes would be comprised of. Once the notes making is done, then you are ready to write an answer. See, these three steps are essential before you start up a answer writing series. Now, from where we have to write the answer? This is the first confusion which an aspirant would be getting. See, directly you can pick up a question which appeared in UPSC. Pick up a question which appeared in UPSC, previous year question, and start writing an answer for it. At least try to make a blueprint of it. Or you can take any model question which is available in the market, either in the internet or online or offline. You can write the answer for these kind of questions, either for the previous year question or the model question which has appeared in the test series platform. Then once you are done with answer writing, then evaluation is the most important aspect which you have to follow. So either to a mentor or to the concerned faculty or to a senior, just show your answer and get it evaluated. Evaluation is an important procedure. Why? Because unless and until the evaluation is done, you won't be in a state to understand either you have performed well or not. That's why evaluation which is there, that is very important in the course of answer writing series. So once the evaluation is done, you would be getting certain feedback, right? And once the feedback would be given, then you would be mixed up with certain points. Then what you have to do is, then you have to value add the content to the notes whichever you are having. That's the reason why whenever you are preparing a note making, personal notes, only prepare the note in this 2/3 space, leave the rest 1/3 space, so that in future any value addition, if it would be coming into picture, you can value add it to this particular 1/3 of the space. So value addition, then you have to concentrate on enrichment of the answer also. Moving further, I will let you know what is the concept of enrichment of answer writing, because just randomly writing the key points or mentioning the content doesn't give us high amount of mark. Enrichment of answer is just like adding some pomegranates on the curd rice or adding certain delicious sweets to your dish. So enrichment of an answer will give an awesome feeling to the examiner, so that you would be gaining more and more marks relatively on an average what the others are getting. So what do you meant by enrichment? I'll let you know in the upcoming slides. So once this process is done, writing an answer, evaluation, value addition, and how to enrich, again start writing the answer, again evaluate, again value add, again repeat, again revise. So read, revise, repeat, write and repeat. This is what the only mantra through which you can crack the examination. Are you getting this point? And many aspirants ask me like, sir, how many questions we have to write per day? It depends upon your level. That's it. 1 or 2 for minimum. At least 1 from GS, 1 from optional is essential. And every week at least try to write an essay on the weekend. This is what an aspirant has to follow in general. And I can promise you, your 100th answer would be better than the first answer which you have written. This is for sure. The 100th answer which would be there, that shall be 100% better than the first answer which you have written. Okay. So as you know, the very old strategy of answer writing: introduction, body and conclusion. And aspirants also do these nasty things like just they mention introduction, body and conclusion. It is not necessary that you mention it. Just for your understanding, I have written it as introduction, body as well as conclusion. So very old strategy that we have to follow this particular concept of intro, body, conclusion, dividing the answer into different structural part. So in introduction, what you are going to write is most important aspect, because this introduction, the aspect which you are going to write in this particular introduction will make sure thing for examiner that you know the content. So this introduction is very essential. The best introductions whenever you are going to write, at least expect half a mark more on an average relatively with the rest of the people who are writing the exam. That's why you write the best introduction out of possible over there. For that, prerequisitely you can practice certain introductions for the keywords which have been mentioned in your general studies syllabus implicitly and explicitly. So generally when you write introduction, you can write the definition of that particular keyword. So make sure that whenever you write introduction, you try to focus one particular point. Like for example, there is a question like discuss how revolt of 1857 had its role in Indian freedom struggle. Let's say this is the question. So for this, if you want to write the introduction, obviously it is true that you will pick the keyword. So in the given question, revolt of 1857 which is there, that is what the keyword is. If you check a question from geography, discuss the concept of tropical cyclone and why tropical cyclones are mostly formed around South China Sea, Bay of Bengal and Gulf of Mexico, and discuss how tropical cyclones are named, if this is a part of question. So obviously the keyword is tropical cyclone. So what you would be doing is, within the introduction, you would be starting your answer by defining the tropical cyclone. Here you will be writing your answer by explaining the revolt of 1857, or you will explain what actually is a revolt. So in this way, within the introduction, we have to either define the things, or either we have to add facts or data related with it. If in certain answers, let's say here we can't define what is revolt of 1857. So if there is any current affairs linkage related to this particular revolt of 1857, or is there anything related to revolt of 1857, the historians have said. So by making a note of that particular fact, you can introduce this particular revolt of 1857 to the examiner. See, it is very simple task. What you have to do, what an examiner expects from you while he is correcting the paper is very simple task. By reading your answer, the examiner who is correcting the paper, he has to understand that particular concept. Just by reading your answer, इसका मतलब है, मतलब आपका आंसर पढ़ते ही जो एग्जामिनर करेक्ट कर रहा है आपका पेपर को, वो टॉपिक जो है एग्जामिनर खुद समझ लेना कि हाँ ये टॉपिक मैं समझ गया. So that much crisp, clear-cut answer rating should be there. Then only you would be given with some better marks relatively with the rest. So for that, very crisp and clear answer rating is essential. So in introduction, you will either define the things like in science and technology, or in ethics paper, what is moral, what is value, what is ethics, what is morality. है ना? In science and technology, or in defense technology when you write, or in biotechnology when you write, or in environment when you write answers, or in disaster management when you write answers related with floods, droughts, or in economy when you write answers related with inclusive growth or minimum support price. So you would be defining the things. So if definition is not there, check out that particular content which was there. Like recently we had an aspect of white paper in the parliament. So if you don't know the definition of this particular white paper, what you can do is you can link it to the current affairs. If these both are not available, there shall be some fact or data related with it. But this is risky. Writing the fact or data related with anything is risky. Why? Because the fact or data which you have been writing, that might have been updated by then, the examiner might have corrected your paper, or these facts and data might be approximate figures, not the exact figures according to estimate reports, or else you might not exactly remember that particular fact as 53.17. So these kind of facts and data are a bit risky, but if you could remember them, if you could write them, that would be the best thing. But in sense, if you are not just aware of what actually the fact or data is, please don't take any risk out of it. Okay. And if these three things are not present regarding with like human development index, regarding with poverty, or related with some happiness index or gender gap reports which would be given, regarding with the women empowerments in the society, inequalities, equalities. So there shall be certain reports which shall be given, like related with the environmental conferences, related with the justice, related with the NGOs. So some reports, indices would be given, like related with hunger index, related with different indexes across the world given by World Economic Forum, given by World Bank, given by IMF, given by UNFCCC, given by IUCN. So those particular reports and indices, if you know regarding with that, you can just directly write, according to UNFCCC, the climate change will result into average increase of 1.5 degrees centigrade of temperature by the end of this century. So you can write these particular reports and indices given by certain organizations, or you can directly mention Indian ranking in it. So regarding with the human development index, gender gap index, regarding with the sex ratio, so you would be having the ranking of India at different levels. So regarding with the ranking, you can mention the ranking of India, and then you can start writing an answer. These kind of rankings can be better written in your economy papers, clear, in your internal security papers, in your international relation paper, or in environmental context, you can give up the ranking. So if you remember this particular ranking, you can write it up. If not so, if any question would be coming from GS paper 2 exclusively, clear, so related with constitutional articles. So let's say they have asked a question on advisory jurisdiction of Supreme Court, Article 143. They have asked about money bill, or if they have asked about impeachment of President, Article 61, or if they have asked about some aid and advice of Council of Ministers to the President headed by Prime Minister. So Article 74. So in this way, if you remember these constitutional articles, it is best to write these constitutional articles. Article 74 of the Indian Constitution, Article 110 of the Indian Constitution, Article 143 of the Indian Constitution, Article 352 National Emergency, 356, Article 360, Article 370 Jammu Kashmir wala issue. So on this basis, if you remember constitutional articles, it is very effective that you can start your answer in this. So most important articles you have to remember, however, while you read polity. So these constitutional articles would be helping you very greatly in this particular regard. If not so, the above things, when they are not matching to that answer, you can, if the question is a bit philosophical, or if the question is on the basis of social background aspect, or related with justice, equality, poverty, hunger, so then you can utilize certain quotes. See, quotes are those things which are said by famous personalities across the world. It's not like, don't just give the quote which you generally use it in your WhatsApp status or Facebook or Instagram. They are not appreciated. Only those quotes which have been given by some global leaders, clear, some famous personalities, or some huge high politicians at highest grade. So their particular quotes are appreciated. So if your question which has appeared in your UPSC paper, if it has some connection with that particular quote, then please make sure that you write that particular quote and confirm. Okay. So this is what you generally write in the introduction pattern. Make sure that when you construct this introduction in this way, 100% examiner likes it, and the way you would be presenting is also very important. When you present it in a better way, mark my words, you would be getting some more extra marks relatively when compared to the rest. I'm sorry. Moving further, seeing the body of a question, body of that answer. Body is simply like heart of an answer or core portion of that particular answer. So what is the frame of question which they have asked? That is the important task which you have to mention in the body. Likewise, say in the question which I have asked, the role of revolt of 1857 in the Indian freedom struggle. So what is its role? A role in Indian freedom struggle of 1857, that you have to write it in this particular body. So there are few things which you have to keep in mind before you start up your body of an answer. Please mark these particular things, like these things have to be concentrated. In the initial way, whenever you are writing body of answer, whenever you start writing body of answer, make sure that the connection of that particular line which you are starting, that has to have connection with the introduction. It's not like you have wrote the introduction related with the tropical cyclone, and in the body directly you have started the word called as floods or urban flooding or coastal flooding. So that particular direct jumping should not be there. So it seems to be appear like a smooth transition from the end of introduction to the next line. So that's the reason why linking that particular body position, clear, exclusively with that of introduction is the major task which you have to do. It's simply like, I have seen this particular KGF movie, KGF part 1 and part 2. So in KGF part 1, at the end, Rocky Bhai tends to kill Garuda. There the movie ends. And in KGF part 2, the introduction of Rocky Bhai happens by celebration of sitting onto the throne. So there is some connection in between it. Yes or no? In that way, whenever we write the body of an answer, make sure that the connection has to appear very clearly, so that the examiner doesn't have any skip or mismatch, or he doesn't feel that there is something which is missing over there. This is the first point which you have to remember whenever you write the body of an answer. Second thing is, many people do this mistake. They don't keep the subheadings related with the question which have been given. They don't keep any kind of boxing or underlining of any key subtopic which we are writing in that particular answer. So here you have to focus the entire structure of answer. One more point which aspirants do is, let's say there is a question called as, just now I was discussing with 3-part question. What is tropical cyclone ? Why most of the tropical cyclones occur in Bay of Bengal, South China Sea and Gulf of Mexico? Third part, how does this particular tropical cyclones would be named? So there are 3 parts in this particular question. What aspirants generally do is, in the given space, they use the 50% of the space to the first part and 40% of the space to the second part, 10% of the space to the third part. That is the negative approach of answer writing. For every part of the question, you have to give equal distribution of the size. So that's the reason why subheadings have to be given accordingly, and the structure of the answer has to be maintained. Equal importance have to be given for all the parts of the question which have been asked by UPSC. So subheading according to the question, boxing it or underlining it, it is very, very important. If you are missing it, if you are not trying to focus upon the every part of the question, then 100% you would be getting very least amount of mark. Done. So the third thing when you write the body of answer is addressing the demand of the question. Generally, we have a habit of writing the answers from variant level during the school standards and college standards. Like in school standards, when teacher has asked in social studies related with write an essay related with why Akbar is called as great. So when we don't know why Akbar is called as great, then we used to start our answer right away from Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley civilization started, followed to it Vedic civilization came, then Buddhism, Jainism, Mahajanpads, Mauryas, then Guptas, clear, Shatavahanas, clear. So you write all these things, then you come to Ghazni, है ना, उसके बाद में खिलजी revolution, Tughlaq dynasty, then Sayyid Lodi dynasty, then Babur killed Ibrahim Lodi in first battle of Panipat 1526, then Humayun के बारे में लिखेंगे, then आएंगे अकबर के बारे में, then you write one line related with Akbar and then you end up the answer, hence Akbar is great, है ना. मतलब you are not addressing the demand of the question. This is what an aspirant misses. He tends to write what he knows. He doesn't write what UPSC wants. So it is your necessity, essentiality, and it is requirement of the thing that you have to address the demand of that particular question. So what is asked in the question have to be read multiple times, then only you have to start writing the answer. Otherwise, just don't randomly write what you know regarding with that particular topic. That is also not going to be appreciable, especially in the UPSC answer writing aspect. Okay. So these are the first three basic things which you have to focus while you write the body of answer. Next two things which you have to focus is your body of the answer should have these two things whenever the examiner sees it. In that, the first one is multi-dimensional approach, or we simply call it as holistic approach or 360-degree approach. Generally, whenever any cricketer plays on the ground, clear, when he bats, like I love Virat Kohli, I love MS Dhoni, I love Shubman Gill, clear, I love Sachin Tendulkar, I love A.B. de Villiers, I love Chris Gayle, I love Andre Russell, and I love Gilchrist. So I love many cricketers who generally play it. But mostly I love to see A.B. de Villiers batting. The reason behind it is he is the person who can change the game effectively despite wherever the bowler bowls. It is just because of the 360-degree approach which he follows. If the bowler tends to create a strong field on the off side, and if he tends to bowl on the off side, A.B. de Villiers turns it and hits it on the leg side. So he is a player who can send the ball in a 360-degree approach. That's why most of the records are on his particular name. So here also, whenever you write your answer should have multiple things in it. Your answer should have 360-degree approach. So generally I say my students to follow this word called as space whenever you write an answer, which relates with social, political, administrative, cultural, economical, ecological and environmental, educational aspects. So your answer writing should have this much amount of variant thing. Then examiner would be impressed very easily. So whenever you write your answer, make sure that you follow this particular holistic or 360-degree approach. Okay. And next thing is, whenever you write any argument in your answer, in some of the cases you might not love the scheme which was introduced by the government. In some of the cases you might not like those particular decisions taken by the government or taken by the defense field or taken by any other particular department. So in that particular aspect, what you can do is, when you don't like it, you have to substantiate your argument with justification. It's not like randomly you have written like I don't like Mahatma Gandhi. No, you have to write why you don't like Mahatma Gandhi. You have to give the reasons. You can't just directly write like you love Subhash Chandra Bose. You have to write the reasons for it. So that's why make sure that you give very least arguments. But in case of giving arguments, make sure that you substantiate your particular arguments in that particular picture. Okay. And now comes the third part of the body. So just in the initial slides I was saying related with the enrichment. So once you write the answer, once you get the evaluation, once you value add the things, so enrichment of the answer has to be followed for sure. So that I have already said. So these particular portions are to be there in your answer, which looks like an enrichment dish. See, simply giving a plain ice cream or giving a plain ice cream on which you have all the dry fruits. Clear? So which one will you pick it out? Obviously the ice cream which have dry fruits on it. This is also as simple as possible. Like whenever your answer would be represented through maps, diagrammatical representations, exclusively in geography environment you can do. Flowcharts, most of the answers can be written in the flowchart format. And graphs, in least cases you would be using graphs exclusively in economic context or some social issue context like poverty or justice context, you would be using these graphs. But you can use maps, diagrams, flowcharts in your answers, where your answers appear like fully overloaded. You know, this is one enrichment aspect which you have to follow. The second is comparisons. Generally, whenever you write your answers, try to compare the things, like comparing it with either an era. Like you can compare the present urbanized cities with that of the cities which were present during Indus Valley civilization times. Or you can compare it with the states, the schemes. Recently, Uttarakhand has introduced and they have implemented uniform civil code. So you can compare certain states with that of Uttarakhand regarding with the uniform civil code, and you can compare with the countries, like despite of having high efficient capitalistic nature, despite of it, the farmers of Britain are on roads as of now. Clear, they are fighting for the justice which they are required with. So here whenever you compare, either you can compare with era, state or country which is present over there. And you can write certain case studies also in your answers. So regarding with any tropical grassland, if you are writing, you can write a case study. Related with any population aspect, if you are writing, you can write a case study. Related with any Indian society answers, you can write a case study. Related with history, you can write a case study. So case studies and initiatives, you know, successful practices which are there, they can be implemented in your answer writing for the enrichment aspect. So when the body is concentrated with these things, the body of answer appears very effective. Then comes the last part of an answer, that is conclusion. Within the conclusion, generally conclusion is like eating a dessert after a lavish dinner. So how pleasure it would be once you eat a dessert, once you have a lavish dinner. Conclusion is also same. Once you write the best answer over there, but if you are failing in the conclusion, then examiner might struggle a bit to give you more marks. That's why conclusion has to be also concentrated whenever you are writing an answer. So within the conclusion, for any policy framework, for any implemented projects, schemes or decisions taken by the government, or related with disaster management or related with the disaster events, you can suggest the way forward methods. What is there in your mind? Like if we do these particular things, chances are there we might have the better outcome. Like exclusively in the environmental context, we can write these particular way forward things. And or else you can write any committee recommendations. If for example any committee has recommended certain things to do, or if any organization has recommended certain recommendations to follow, so that committee recommendations or commission recommendations can be written in the conclusion. So ARC is one of the best things which I have seen in my life, the second ARC. If you are not in a position to read the entire ARC, at least try to read the gist of ARC. So directly from ARC you can pick the points and put it in your GS paper 2, 3 and 4. And if NITI Aayog has given certain reports regarding with how the planning has to be done, how the initial introduction of decentralized planning has to be done. So if any kind of answer in GS paper 2, 3, 4 comes, then NITI Aayog reports can be written. Okay. Or else like you can mention certain sustainable development goals and its following procedures and the measures which have to be followed. Or else if you haven't written the constitutional articles in the introduction, you can frame up those constitutional articles within the conclusion. And every time make sure that your conclusion should be positive and optimistic. It's not like in the body you can criticize, as I've already said. If you are giving some arguments, substantiating certain arguments, that is fine in body. But don't substantiate in a negative way within the conclusion. Despite you criticize in the body, coming to the conclusion, try to be optimistic. You know, like for example, you haven't liked any scheme related with government, let's say MGNREGA, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guaranteed Act, or Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, or Krishi Vignan Kendras. You might have not liked any scheme or policy. In the body you criticize, coming to the conclusion, give a thought that you are having some positive on that scheme, but you are worried with the implementation. So you have to give that particular approach, because being a district collector or a district SP, you have to be very positive in nature, optimistic in nature. In everything, you have to find certain positivity. That's why in your answer writing, it has to be clearly visible. And if you have not introduced any quotes in introduction, don't repeat. If you have written in introduction, leave it in the conclusion. If you haven't written there, you can write in the conclusion. And you can write the government measures for any policy frameworks which are being followed, or to improve the infrastructure, what government is doing, how much amount of investment they are investing in the infrastructural aspects where we have huge bottlenecks, that you can write. Or any UN initiative which has been in news constantly for any reintroduction of any particular policy. So UN initiative, generally we wouldn't be aware of all the UN initiatives, only few where they have become a global phenomenon. Those UN initiatives we would be taking care of it. But those UN initiatives, if you remember, you can mention in the conclusion. So if you follow these particular traits in answer writing, your answer appears good sense, and at least 50 to 60% of the marks you would be awarded to your particular answer. So make sure that you follow these particular things before you start up with your answer writing. And 100% initially jitna easily मैं बोला था, clear, the way I have explained you easily, that doesn't come while you start writing your answer and fixing in this structure. You will face difficulties for sure. Unless and until you write 10 to 20 answers, you won't have the framework of the structure which is present here. So initially you will face difficulties, but once you are done with some 20-25 answers, then you will start appreciating the structure of the answer which I have explained. Then slowly you will be following the value additions, enrichments as which are required for the UPSC examination. So as everyone know, answer is the final product which will make us crack the examination. So don't neglect answer writing despite you have content. Overconfidence should not be there. Every day start writing one answer in GS and one answer from optional. Hence, thank you for watching this video, and if you want any specific topics to be dealt in answer writing series, please do comment. We would be there to help you in this answer writing series. So make sure that you comment, you please do like this video if you have liked, share it to maximum people so that maximum people can take the benefit out of this particular answer writing series. And also do subscribe to the channel so that you would be getting the regular notifications. Thank you for watching this video. Have an awesome day. Jai Hind.